So we're going to talk really briefly about client portals and the phrase auto prospecting. So you've learned how to do a search, you've learned how to save a search. Now the MLS has a way that you can connect that search to your client. And the idea is that you got a certain, let's say 10 houses met that search criteria today, but tomorrow a new house comes on the market that meets that criteria. You want to let your client know right away. The MLS has this, it goes by different names, but for simplicity here, we're going to call it auto prospecting, meaning you've saved that search, you've connected it to your client's information. So now the second that new property that meets that criteria shows up, it's going to email your client right away. And they're going to email from you saying some kind of generic message that says there's a new property that came on the market and it meets your criteria. Do you want to take a look at it? The MLSs all have a way of doing that. I will say that all the MLSs methods of doing that are really basic and don't give you a lot of extra information about what's going on. So that concept of auto prospecting, you do want to use this. It's a good way to get things set up for a client, maybe set up for someone that you meet in an open house. Our office uses a particular tool. It's called a CRM, or a customer relationship manager. It's a way to keep track of your clients that ties into a website. We encourage people, rather than setting up your client for this auto prospecting, so rather than saving the search for them inside the MLS's tool, if you're paying for or have access to a more developed tool, use that to set up the search, because now that same place that you've created that contact record, a lot of those will give you extra information like, hey, they came back to my website, or here's the 5 other houses they looked at that were outside the search I set up, but they saved these other houses. So those give you just more information about what's maybe actually of interest to your client. Maybe you met them at an open house. They said, hey, this is what I'm looking for. If you can set me up for that, it'd be great. And then when they get on your site, they're actually looking for maybe things at a lower price point or a higher price point or in a different neighborhood than what they said. But there's just other tools that will give you more information. You want to know, did they open that email or not? Some MLSs have pretty well developed tools for this. Others have really tools that are like 20 years old and more or less useless compared to some of the feature sets that are available now in other things. So just check that out. Your mentor manager should know what you have access to and might recommend one over another. But at a minimum, at least know the free one that you have in your MLS, and then just check on what are some of the other things that maybe you're happen to already be paying for, whether it's through your company or through your MLS or whatever it might be. But that concept of auto prospecting, you want to be able to connect that saved search to a client to make sure that they can get the alerts that you want them to get. Before we go, regarding this topic of saved searches and auto prospecting, one kind of little known use for auto prospecting is with your sellers. People usually use it with buyers who are looking for a property. But a seller who has a house in a neighborhood, that auto prospecting is a way that you can set up the search, save it, and then connect it to your seller client and then have them get automatic emails every time there's either a new listing that pops up or their neighbor does a price reduction. Maybe they want to see that. Or the neighbor's house sells. Maybe they want to see that. But it's just a way to keep your seller in an automated way updated on what's going on in their market. And this is good sometimes for a seller that's on the market right now. It helps them stay competitive. It may also be good for a seller that's thinking about coming on the market. Someone that says, hey, I may want to sell in a couple months. You're like, great, let me set you up. You can kind of get first look at everything going on in the market. And so you can set them up that way. With that, hopefully that will help you see there's maybe a little bit more than just the standard buyer only use for it. Again, make sure you're using the best option that you have available to you for that auto prospecting. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you learned something or if this helped you solve a problem, follow me for more.